Being founded in 1851, Lasell College has undergone many changes. The Auburndale, Massachusetts school has seen tremendous growth made possible by the Lasell Fund. The student ambassadors help contribute to the Lasell Fund with the Phone-a-thon program.
Being a student ambassador, you work with the Alumni Relations Office, and our team strictly deals with using the phone and calling alumni or other staff members of Lasell to solicit donations in an effort to get more money for the Lasell Fund, which basically controls a lot of what goes on around the school.
We help fundraise a ton of money, and that goes into a lot of important things like campus renovations, student financial aid, the academic programs, the athletic programs, library and technology resources. It just really helps the school out a lot.
Every night from 6 to 9 o'clock at night, students come in and we call alumni to build rapport, to ask for donations towards the Lasell Fund. A great call wouldn't necessarily mean that they pledged or even that they pledged a large amount. A lot of the time it's just simply building rapport, or once you make a connection with the person on the other line, you're excited to talk to them. If they have the same major as you, if they lived in the same dorm, if they played on the same sports team, there's always something that you can connect with that makes the phone call something more entertaining for yourself. So the good calls that I usually overhear are people laughing, going off the script that we normally have. That's what I really like to see.
If they have an issue with Lasell, we want to try to resolve it. If that means that they have a problem finding a job, we might recommend a number for career services. If we were calling parents and their students having a housing issue, we might give them the phone number and email of somebody in Res Life. We want to find out what's wrong, why they're upset, and try to alleviate the problem.
The student ambassadors don't start calling just anyone. Each shift is planned out well in advance.
We split up how we call people into segments so that it's more organized. We obviously have so many alumni at Lasell, so we call groups in the years that they graduated in. So we do the people who graduated in the 40s, in the 50s, and the 60s. Additionally to that, we also call reunion years specifically to give them information about reunion and to talk to them about that. We also call parents of current students here.
There's also lie bunts and side bunts, which means they either give almost every year, or there's a little bit of a gap in terms of when they give.
And then I also have meetings with my two captains, and we do a lot of planning for what we want to see in the future and where we think there could be changes and improvements to the program. So we're constantly taking that feedback.
After everything is planned out, the Phone-a-thon team can begin their calling shifts.
A typical Phone-a-thon shift, the captains come in 15 minutes early to set up. We set up laptops, phones, any paperwork that's needed for the night, and we write all the information on the board so that there's always something to fall back to. And then we begin calling around 6:15 after a warm-up activity, usually just to loosen us up. I like to start it off with a little energizer. And then we start calling until 7:30. We get a break at 7:30, and then we continue calling until 9 o'clock.
The Lasell Fund has helped make a number of improvements around the Lasell campus. Improvements the ambassadors have been able to see with their own eyes.
One of the bigger changes, my freshman year I lived in Woodland, and it was a great hall at the time. It was a freshman dorm, so I knew that there were things to look up to. And then they redid Woodland, and it looks amazing now. And I can't imagine living in that Woodland, but for freshmen now to come in and see that, I'm always so excited for them.
East and West Hall, the Donahue Center, also the math lab, that all came from the Lasell Fund pretty much. So you can actually see the changes that it makes, not just hearing about it, and I think that's what makes the Lasell Fund really special.
One thing that happened my freshman year that not a lot of people know about is the Arno Quad. That was actually a parking lot. So it's really crazy that now it's this beautiful grassy area that people hang out on. There are picnic tables. people play football, and before we only had the turf to do that because a lot of the sports teams were on the other field. So this really gave us a spot to hang out.
In the 2015 fiscal year, the Lasell Fund was able to reach a milestone in the college's fundraising history, and the goals are set high again this year.
For the fiscal year 2015, we reached a milestone in the college's fundraising history because we raised over $1,030,000 for the Lasell Fund. And the year before that, we were actually able to exceed our goal because we raised over $1 million. So it's an exciting time to be at Lasell. We're really taking a step forward. It seems like every year there's more and more people wanting to attend Lasell, and we need more places for those students. So building more residence halls, renovating the residence halls that are there, I think that that's important. And I just see the Lasell Fund continuing to help the school grow and to become better and better each and every year and each and every day.
That was an amazing accomplishment, and we as Phone-a-thon were able to add to that. And this year we have a $100,000 goal for Phone-a-thon.
The student ambassadors may not be well known at Lasell College, but they continue to dial with a smile.
We have a saying, dial with a smile. We try to always constantly remind phoners that when you physically have a smile on the other line, it helps you to remember to be using that tone in the call. And we do have to always remember that we're calling, 100 to 130 people a night. There are bound to be at least one or two people that are not interested in giving or refuse in a rude way, and you just have to move on from that.
That phrase, dial with a smile, just means to begin our session and put our best foot forward and be enthusiastic and have a good attitude over the phone. I think it's really important to connect with the other person on the phone, and I feel like a lot of alumni really cherish those conversations. They are really interested in what you are doing. I've had countless phone calls where they've asked me, what year are you? What are you doing at school? Do you like it? Oh, there's boys now. How's that going? And simple stories like that. And particularly with some of the older alumni, that phone call may have made their week, or maybe even more than that, because they don't really get a lot of phone calls. So I think it's really important to establish a connection over the phone. And even if it doesn't land in a donation, it still makes you feel really good about yourself because you were able to talk to that person and let them reminisce about their time. And maybe it wasn't focused on you, maybe it was about them. There's been countless times where I've just sat and listened on the phone to someone speak about their memories at Lasell, and that's their time to let those stories unfold. And sometimes my responsibility is just to listen.
This job is important for a lot of reasons. I think the job title, to have this job title as a student, is really important because you are a student ambassador, also a Phone-a-thon caller, but more than that, you do represent the school. You're looked upon to have information that other students may not have or may not think that they need to have, and really someone who can be a good role model for the school and for the rest of the students on campus. Because being a student ambassador, you're not only calling at night, you also have access to a lot of other alumni events, so that really puts you in the eyes of the leaders on campus. The captains and I have been talking about ways that we can make the student ambassadors more well known on campus, but I really do think it's most important for the other students on campus to realize where their money is coming from. I think that a lot of the time you can turn a blind eye to that because maybe you don't deal with it or you just don't need to know. But I think if students knew that their peers were working from 6 to 9 at night to raise that money and how much we really were raising, I think that they would be very appreciative of that. And I think it's just a matter of getting the word out there and letting the students know what we're doing. So we're really working towards a lot of awareness.